Something unbelievable is happening in the RV world right now. 10 popular models are suddenly selling for pennies on the dollar. Auction lanes are filled with them. Dealers are crossing out price sheets every week. And the numbers are dropping so fast that even industry insiders are shocked. But here's the part. No one is saying out loud, these units aren't tanking for the same reason. Some are getting crushed by moisture issues. Some by frame problems. Some by rental fatigue. And some are just victims of a market that grew too fast and is now collapsing under its own weight. If you're thinking about buying, this list could save you thousands. Let's kick things off with the first RV caught in the crash. Forest River Vibe 26 RK. Walk any dealer yard right now, and you will spot this unit sitting in the corner with a price sheet that keeps getting crossed out and rewritten. The Forest River Vibe 26 RK did not fall because of hype dying down. It fell because routine inspections kept revealing early softness in the flooring, especially on rigs built during the heavy rush years. Once those findings made their way through service shops, the resale market reacted instantly. Another force pushed the Vibe 26 RK downward, timing. During the demand spike, many households bought these, thinking they were manageable and budget-friendly. But when interest rates pushed past 8%, a wave of trade-ins arrived. Auction lists suddenly showed multiple 2021 and 2022 units hammering below $20,000. One recent listing closed at $19,900, and that figure moved quickly through dealer circles. There is also the moisture issue that technicians kept running into. Readings around the rear kitchen area often showed elevated numbers, not from dramatic leaks, but from slow seal fatigue. That kind of creeping problem makes wholesalers nervous, because it raises repair odds without guaranteeing visible symptoms. As those reports spread, pricing softened week after week. Right now, the advantage is on the side of the person willing to inspect slowly and negotiate without pressure. The market has already priced in the uncertainty. If the walls stay dry, the flooring stays firm, and the seams show no peeling or flexing, the Vibe 26 RK can still offer steady use. But if any inspection reading feels off, walking away saves more than money. It prevents months of second guessing. The next step in this countdown shifts the spotlight toward a unit whose decline reveals an even sharper turn in the market. Keystone Cougar half-ton 29 RKS. Some falls in this market announce themselves loudly, and some arrive through paperwork. The Keystone Cougar half-ton 29 RKS began slipping the moment a structural inspection bulletin circulated through dealer portals. It outlined rear frame movement checks on certain production runs, and once technicians started performing those inspections, a pattern formed. Not every unit showed issues, but enough carried slight flex to make wholesalers step back. When wholesale confidence drops, values do not just soften, they pull downward fast. Auction lanes showed the impact almost immediately. Several 2021 and 2022 models hammered in the low $30,000 range, far below what many owners still owed. One listing closed at $31,200, a figure that spread quickly through dealer networks. That number mattered because it proved the slide was not rumor. It was documented, photographed, and verified by the receipts. Service shops added another layer. They reported stress marks around the rear slide structure on a small but noticeable percentage of units brought in for routine checks. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to raise questions about long-term rigidity when loaded for travel. These findings made buyers pause, and when buyers pause, pricing adjusts to meet hesitation. Anyone considering this RV now needs to approach it with careful eyes and a slow hand. A structural inspection is the deciding factor. If the frame shows no flex and the slide operates smoothly under weight, the Cougar half-ton 29 RKS can still deliver dependable use. If there is even a hint of movement at the rear welds, walking away protects both time and budget. Every decision here should feel deliberate and supported. The important note here is that this decline was driven by documentation, not gossip. The next step in this countdown shifts the spotlight toward a unit whose decline reveals an even sharper turn in the market. If this breakdown is already giving you clearer insight than anything dealers will tell you, tap like and subscribe so you never miss the real numbers. And share your thoughts below, because your experiences help expose what is actually happening in this market. Jayco Jay Flight 264BH. There are moments in this market when a model does not decline gradually. It drops in one motion, almost like someone opened a valve. The Jayco Jay Flight 264BH saw that shift when a large batch of units returned to the resale lanes at the same time. These were not worn-out rigs. Many came from households that purchased during the surge years and later felt the pressure of rising loan rates. When interest moved above 8%, trade-ins increased, and that volume reshaped the pricing floor fast. Evidence came from fleet resellers who posted long rows of 264BH listings across multiple regions. One group alone listed more than 160 units during a single quarter. That level of supply would strain any segment, but for a lightweight bunkhouse trailer, it was overwhelming. Auction summaries showed hammer prices slipping into the upper teens, with one example closing at $17,800. Those figures were recorded, photographed, and shared among dealers who needed to keep inventory moving. Service shops added smaller notes, though not as a main cause. Some units showed seal fatigue near the front cap and a few electrical quirks from rapid production during the demand spike. None of these issues were dramatic, but combined with heavy return volume, they reduced confidence. As confidence dipped, offers followed. Approaching this R-Vee now requires inspection and patient negotiation. The surplus has already influenced the price. If moisture readings stay low, the frame remains straight, and the underside shows no impact marks, the Jay Flight 264BH can offer steady use without strain. If any reading feels high or any panel feels soft, stepping back protects both time and budget. The path forward leads directly to a model whose drop surprised even dealers who thought they had seen every downturn already. Thor Freedom Elite 22FE. Some units reveal their past the moment you see them, and the Thor Freedom Elite 22FE is one of those rigs. When these began appearing in auction lanes, the pattern was obvious. High mileage, decals removed quickly, and interiors showing the marks of constant rotation. This was not a gentle slide. It was the result of large groups of hard-used units arriving together. The shift happened when fleet operators retired entire runs of 22FE models after travel demand cooled. Auction reports documented long rows of identical units, many with odometers deep into the 50,000 range. One listing closed at 29,800. And that number spread fast through dealer circles. It confirmed that the decline was driven by wear, not mechanical collapse. Service shops added their observations. Technicians saw cabinet hinges loosened from repeated use, soft touch materials wearing thin, and generator hours climbing into the high 1,000s. None of these findings were shocking for former rental rigs, but they mattered because they translated to real maintenance obligations. When dealers saw those notes, wholesale bids dropped to limit exposure. Anyone assessing this R-Vee needs to take time with it. Mileage alone never tells the full story. Examine the roof sealant, test the slide operation, check the alignment of the entry door, and read generator logs carefully. If the wear is cosmetic and the systems run clean, the Freedom Elite 22FE can still deliver steady travel. If the wear affects structure or drivetrain, walking away prevents months of regret. The countdown edges deeper, as the upcoming entry shows just how swiftly affordability can flip into warning signs. Winnebago Minnie Winnie 25B. Some models decline because of mileage, others because of wear. But the Winnebago Minnie 25B has been slipping for a quieter reason. Moisture sneaking into places most shoppers never think to check. This shift did not happen overnight. It began when service centers started logging elevated readings around roof seams, sidewall joints, and the forward cab area on units built during the heavy production stretch. Once those findings made their way through service logs, the reaction followed quickly. The auction lanes recorded the impact quickly. Several 2017 through 2020 units hammered in the low 40,000 range, and one recently documented listing closed at 40,800. That single figure moved through dealer circles because it showed how far a once reliable mid-sized motorhome had fallen in today's environment. The number was not rumor. It was recorded, photographed, and posted in the wholesale reports that circulate every week. Technicians added further context. They noted that some 25B units arrived with early signs of seal fatigue near the cab-over section. Not gaping leaks, but slow wicking that could spread beneath interior trim. That kind of intrusion does not announce itself. It develops quietly, creating soft spots and climbing repair bills long before a visible stain appears. Once those findings hit the network, values adjusted downward to match the risk for now. Anyone inspecting this R-Vee needs to move slowly and test everything. Check every seam with a meter, apply pressure to the flooring near the cab, and examine the underside for old moisture tracks. If the readings stay low and the structure feels solid, the Mini Winnie 25B can still provide reliable travel. If anything shows elevated numbers, walking away protects months of effort and funds. The shift continues with a model that highlights where long-term strain finally overtook long-standing loyalty. Coachmen Catalina Legacy 243 RBS. The decline of the Coachmen Catalina Legacy 243 RBS did not come from one dramatic failure. It came from a series of small weaknesses that finally caught up with it. Walk around enough of these units on dealer lots, and a pattern becomes clear. You notice subtle ripples in the fiberglass, bubbles forming under the exterior skin, and seams that look tired for their age. None of these signs are explosive, but together they show why wholesalers became cautious. Auction reports confirmed the shift quickly. Several 2020 and 2021 units hammered in the mid-18,000 range, and one recent example closed at 18,700. That figure mattered because it showed a documented drop from the mid-27,000 retail price these once carried. It was not speculation, it was a photographed result, circulated through dealer channels that track every weekly change. Technicians added more detail through their service logs. They noted early-stage delamination in specific sections, usually near the slide-out wall or the rear corner. These issues often began with minor seal fatigue. But once moisture entered the laminated material, repairs became expensive and time-consuming. Delamination also weakens structural rigidity, which reduces long-term confidence. As those logs surfaced, sentiment shifted, and bids adjusted downward to reflect the added risk. Inspecting this R-Vee requires intention. Press along the exterior skin, check for give, and run a moisture meter across every seam. Look underneath the slide mechanism and inside the cabinetry for any signs of swelling or darkened wood. If everything feels solid and the readings stay low, the Catalina Legacy 243 RBS can still offer travel. If anything looks soft or shows rising moisture, stepping back protects both time and funds. The next one exposes a turning point where real numbers forced wholesalers to rethink everything they assumed about value. If you want straightforward analysis without hype or sales pressure, subscribe now. Each update shows which models are rising, which ones are sinking, and when the timing finally turns in your favor. Staying subscribed ensures you are never left guessing again. Airstream Bambi 22FB. The shift in the Airstream Bambi 22FB did not arrive with loud warnings. It crept in quietly through dealer appraisals and auction summaries that began showing lower bids than anyone expected. This model has always carried a reputation built on polished aluminum and steady value. Yet even a brand with history cannot escape the weight of market correction, especially when buyers start hesitating over repair costs that come with aging components. The first signs appeared when auction lanes recorded 2019 through 2022 units closing well below their usual numbers. One documented example landed at 56,800, a figure recorded, photographed, and circulated through dealer networks. That number pushed many owners to realize the market had shifted. It was not a rumor, it was the new pricing floor. Technicians contributed notes that helped explain the softening. They reported seam fatigue along window frames, minor oxidation forming beneath certain trim points, and flooring movement near the forward bed area on select units that saw heavy use. None of these issues suggested large structural failures, but Airstream repair work is rarely inexpensive. Even small fixes require specialized parts and labor. Those repair estimates traveled fast, and wholesalers adjusted their bids to avoid risk stacking. Anyone evaluating this R-Vee now needs to rely on inspection. Run a hand along every seam, check the rivet lines for separation, and inspect under the flooring near the forward bedroom space. If everything remains tight and the readings stay consistent, the Airstream Bambi 22FB can still offer use with routine upkeep. If anything appears loose loose, wavy, or out of alignment, the choice is to walk away before expenses begin climbing. The list pushes forward toward a model whose reputation once felt untouchable until this market cycle proved otherwise. Heartland Pioneer RG26. Some units slip because of moisture, others because of mileage, but the Heartland Pioneer RG26 saw its decline, driven by towing math that finally caught up with it. This model entered the market as a toy hauler, promising flexibility for small machines and weekend gear, but once owners loaded weight into the rear garage, the limits of its frame and axle ratings became clear. As those limits surfaced, confidence thinned and offers followed. Auction data showed the change first, several 2018 through 2021 units hammered in the mid-15,000 range, and one verified listing closed at 15,400. That number circulated fast because it marked a sharp drop from the mid-24,000 retail prices these once carried. It was a photographed result, logged in the same wholesale sheets that dealers rely on every week. Technicians contributed context. Many reported stress marks around the rear tie-down plates, early creasing along the garage floor, and shifting weight distribution that strained tongue load when the trailer was filled. None of these findings meant immediate failure, but they signaled long-term stress that buyers noticed during inspections. Once these notes moved through service logs, wholesalers adjusted their bids downward to protect margins. Evaluation of this R-Vee requires checking. Inspect the garage floor for dips, examine the rear tie-down mounts for flex, and measure tongue weight with a portable scale if possible. Look underneath for any welds showing early fatigue. If the structure holds firm and the weight distributes cleanly, the Pioneer RG26 can still serve without pushing repairs too quickly. If anything feels off balance or strained, stepping away avoids future alignment work and axle concerns. The momentum carries us to a coach that shows how fast a dependable standby can be pulled into the storm. Thor Tuscany 45MX. The decline of the Thor Tuscany. 45MX did not begin with a single mechanical flaw. It began with a financial shift that exposed how sensitive high-end diesel pushers are to market pressure. This model entered the luxury segment with a feature list meant to challenge higher-tier coaches. But when borrowing costs climbed and fuel prices rose, owners reevaluated the real cost of running a coach this size. That reassessment showed up fast in wholesale numbers. Auction records documented the early movement. Several 2016 through 2020 models hammered in the low 110,000 range, and one verified example closed at 111,000. That figure carried weight because these units once held retail values near the mid-160,000 range. The reduction was confirmed through photographs, receipts, and listings circulated through dealer networks. It marked a new baseline for units that once held firm values. Technicians added observations. They noted aging air suspension, components, wear in slide mechanisms on used coaches, and early signs of coolant seep near certain engine fittings. None of these concerns were catastrophic, but repairs on a 45-foot diesel pusher carry weight. Even modest work can climb into the 4,000 to 7,000 range. Those projected costs influenced bids as wholesalers calculated risk exposure. Inspecting this R-Vee requires discipline. Check every airbag for cracking, listen for compressor cycling patterns, and watch the slide rooms extend under full battery support. Check logs, reviewing cooling system history, and noting deferred items. If records are complete and mechanical performance stays smooth, the Tuscany 45MX can still deliver comfort. If records are thin or components lag under load, stepping away is wise before those repair figures become reality. The climb toward the final entry sharpens here, revealing a luxury unit whose depreciation stunned even seasoned analysts. Fleetwood Bounder 35K. The story of the Fleetwood Bounder. 35K is not defined by one surprising flaw or a sudden reputation shift. Its decline arrived through a combination of financial pressure, aging systems, and updated competition that pushed it out of its long-held position in the gas-powered Class A segment. This model once represented a dependable middle ground, a familiar footprint supported by common parts. But when borrowing costs climbed and newer floor plans entered the market with updated construction, the Bounder 35K began losing ground. Auction results documented the shift early. Several 2015 through 2019 units hammered in the low 70,000 range, and one verified listing closed at 71,200. That number drew notice because these coaches once carried retail pricing near the 110,000 range, even after years of use. issues. The reduction was photographed, logged, and circulated across dealer networks, setting a new expectation. Technicians added notes. They noted hydraulic leveling systems, showing early fatigue, slide mechanisms that required more frequent adjustment, and aging wiring looms behind the front cap that showed heat wear. None of these issues were catastrophic, but they signaled that upkeep was becoming more demanding. Repairs can reach the $2,000 to $4,000 range, and those projected maintenance windows influenced wholesale bids. Anyone evaluating this R-Vee requires methodical inspection. Test the hydraulic leveling cycle, listen for hesitation in the slide motors, and review inverter and charging logs. Examine the roof membrane for patches, and check the underside of the bathroom area, where plumbing fatigue occasionally appears. If the mechanical systems respond and the records show consistent care, the Bounder 35K can still provide dependable travel. If any major system struggles or shows deferred maintenance, stepping away protects funds. Perform a close interior walkthrough, checking cabinet alignment, soft spots, window seals, and electrical panel behavior to confirm long-term structural stability overall. That wraps up the 10 R-Vees crashing hardest in today's market. Now I want to hear from you. What prices are you seeing in your area? Drop your experience in the comments, because your stories help everyone stay ahead of this mess. If this breakdown opened your eyes or saved you money, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next wave of updates.